Sleep apnea and dentistry are probably two terms that you never really put together in your mind before, but the last 10 years, 20 years or so, dentistry has actually found a solution to sleep apnea. And I want you to understand something. When you hear of somebody passing away in their sleep, for the most part, that means that they had a fatal event triggered by sleep apnea. In other words, a heart attack or stroke that is triggered by sleep apnea. So this idea that we have that somebody just passed away in their sleep, it's fixable. Now the problem is, if you go to a traditional doctor, sleep doctor, an MD, they're going to refer you to a sleep clinic who's going to put you in this fake bed with, I had my own sleep test once at one of these clinics. It was horrible. I didn't have enough blankets. I was freezing. I was covered in wires and sensors and all of this, and they had these technicians, and it was a whole to-do even go to the restroom. And you know what they're looking for is any evidence of sleep apnea, because what they do is they sell CPAP machines, which are not cheap. Now your health insurance covers it, so you wouldn't necessarily know that, and the cost of running it every month is also not cheap, but you wouldn't necessarily know that. But what you should know is that studies are finding that as many as 90% of people who are given CPAP machines quit using them in the first year. So that means that your wife or your husband, the person that you love the most in the world, who you've been bugging to get the CPAP machine, and they finally get it and they start wearing it and they're going crazy because they hate it, they're going to stop using it within the first year, which means you're back to zero. You're back to a fatal event triggered by sleep apnea. Meanwhile, dentistry, which is so often considered separate from medical, our physical selves, is so peculiar to me because, of course, our mouth and our teeth are completely oral systemic health. You can't separate one from the other. So dentistry found a way, actually, to solve this problem. So when you think of a CPAP machine, they put this thing on you and it pushes your jaw back, and the idea is that they're forcing air through, almost like forcing air through a kinked hose. Well, what dentists thought was, well, gee, what if we just opened the airway a little bit? So if you've ever had a splint of any kind, perhaps for grinding, let's say that you've found yourself grinding at night and your teeth are wearing down and you've gone to your dentist, or you have an occlusion problem, which is how your jaw fits together, and you've had a splint put in there. What we have is a special device. It's actually two pieces that fit together very easily, actually, and opens up the airway so that you're able to, instead of when you, so for me, I actually do wear one of these, and let's just say most people think of sleep apnea as being older gentlemen, overweight perhaps, smokers, that sort of a thing. I don't fit into any of those categories, but what I do have is a jaw that's sort of jammed up back, the way that my jaw fits together. When I sleep, it sort of closes the airway that's there. And what happens with this appliance that we use is called an MAD, a mandibular advancement device, if you care, is that it pulls my jaw forward ever so slightly. And when I sleep, I have, instead of this much breathing air, I have this much. And it made, I can't even tell you the difference it's made in my life. I went from waking up every morning feeling more tired than I'd gone to sleep, feeling hit by a truck. You must know that feeling, without drinking to have a reason for it. And every morning I would wake up more tired. I thought, oh, I'm a mother, I have young kids, it's got whatever, my life's stressful. The moment I started wearing one of these appliances, the very next day I woke up able to go. It was like, oh my God, I've spent the last 20 years in pain and headaches, exhaustion. For what reason? It blew my mind. And not long after I started using one of these, a friend of mine, about 40 years old, very healthy young man, no other reason that he should have left this earth, passed away in his sleep. And again, it was a sleep apnea triggered event. So it happens to people who are young. Children have this alarming rate. Things like ADD and ADHD are tied back to sleep apnea, all the way up into our grandfathers, the ones who are the typical demographic that we all keep an eye out for. So I highly encourage you, if you think you or somebody you love may be suffering from any amount of sleep apnea, from minor to major, studies are showing that the MADs work as well as the CPAP, so don't let a doctor tell you otherwise. I'm happy to show you that information to make sure that you feel comfortable in our hands. If you know of anybody who could benefit from a longer life, from waking up feeling better every single morning would be nice, right? To make an appointment, come in and see us and have Dr. Sullivan take a look and talk with you further. We have so many resources at our disposal to help you. And in the end, our device is often covered almost entirely by medical insurance. Not even dental, but medical insurance. That's how much they know it works. So there's no reason not to call us, not to have us help you, because that's what we're here for.